Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is going to go down as one of those games that had all the potential in the world but failed to capitalize on the game's hype. Since the 18th of November 2022, which was the game's release date, we've had 2 full DLCs and also a special event featuring a mythical Pokemon that we didn't see coming. Now, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is rumored to have some more DLCs and some more special events coming, but let's review the game as a whole on what we know so far. I'm going to exclude the special event, but I'm going to be talking about the 2 DLCs and the main game. Let's first talk about the Pokemon within the game. The Scarlet and Violet Pokédex in the base game had over 400 Pokemon, including 110 new Pokemon added exclusively to Scarlet and Violet. Now, they did add a convergent species, but for whatever reason, there was only 2 of these Pokemon in the base game and 1 added in the DLC. Now, the 2 Pokemon did evolve, so technically you had 4 of these species of Pokemon, but for whatever reason, I don't understand why, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet didn't capitalize on this convergent species and add a variety of older Pokemon to the Pokédex that had different forms. Now, the Paldean forms looked really cool, and I was really hyped to see them released into the game, but we only got the 4 or 2 technically because they evolve. These Pokemon were of course Wiglet, Wugtrio, Toedscruel, and Toedscruel. Now, Poltergeist was added in the DLC, and the DLCs also added a massive amount of additional fan favorite Pokemon returning to the games, some we hadn't seen for a long time. Now, I was very hyped to see the Pokédex expanded, and the National Dex ended up being massive. This added a big twist for the player, and if you wanted to complete the Pokédex, it did take some time to grind and capture these Pokemon, evolve them, and also trade them with your friends on the alternative game. In my opinion, I'm going to say that the Pokemon within Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were its best feature. The variety of Pokemon you can catch in the base game and also the returning favorites in the DLCs added a bit of a spark to the game and a bit of interest. Now, there's other mechanics in this game that I'm going to talk about later, but overall, if we're just going off Pokemon Scarlet and Violet definitely had one of the better national dexes and the best variety of Pokemon we've ever seen in a Pokemon game. The Pokemon Scarlet and Violet storyline had 3 unique pathways you could take, which led you down the path following 3 unique characters that were important to your journey. You met Arvid, Nemona, and Petty, which took you down the Legends path, the Team Star path, or the Battle Pass, which took you down the route to beat the Elite Four and become the champion. Now, these 3 unique pathways added a diverse feel to the game and also gave importance to 3 characters that were important to your journey and became your lifelong friends. This is one thing that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was successful with. They developed 3 important characters that also followed into the DLC with 2 more important characters, which created such a personal feel to the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games that each player had their own unique experience with. I believe Pokemon Scarlet and Violet had some of the best characters ever included in the games, and this isn't even including the Elite Four that we faced in the final DLC or the champion in the base game. The story leads you to Area Zero. Now, this area had a lot of negativity surrounding it due to the performance issues that a lot of people had, but I felt this area was quite beautiful, and once you look past performance issues and some of the lag that you got, the theme and the overall feel of the area was quite important. Here, it led you to some legendary Pokemon and a unique story ending that was one of the best that I've ever experienced in a Pokemon game. Overall, the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet baseline story was very enjoyable, and once you complete the 3 pathways, the rewards you get afterwards and the things you find out, I guess you can call them plot twists, were quite enjoyable to witness. The storylines in the DLCs were both enjoyable. I felt the Kitakami region in the Teal Mask was a little bit lacking compared to the Indigo Disc. The Indigo Disc added a whole new challenge for the player. You had a terrarium area with a bunch of new Pokemon, a bunch of trainers that battled in double battles, which led into the Elite Four and the Champion. Now, the Elite Four and the Champion battles were some of the hardest Pokemon battles I've ever had to face in a Pokemon game. I had to replay each battle multiple times just to get past them. The double battles and the setup at the start of each battle added a unique difficulty, and this led you into the Champion. The Champion battle was a little bit less challenging than the Elite Four, but it was still a very enjoyable battle to get through. And then following into the return to Area Zero at the end of the DLC, the whole DLC experience was very enjoyable and worthwhile if you haven't experienced that yet. Both DLCs and the base game had unique stories and characters, and overall were some of the highlights of this game. Some of the mechanics and the features of this game is where we're let down a little bit. The mechanic of riding on a legendary Pokemon was quite unique and quite fun, but it came with a lot of bugs. Riding on Koraidon and Miraidon allowed you to explore the world a bit easier, but a lot of people had issues with lag and also crashing the game due to riding on your Pokemon. There was also the terrestrialization phenomenon, which was added to the game, which I felt was a step back from Mega Evolution and other mechanics and gimmicks added in previous Pokemon games. There's a lot of starter Pokemon going around in these terrestrialization battles at the moment, and there's a lot of legendaries that are also added into the game, which gives you a fun experience to challenge with friends. But overall, I feel like both mechanics, the ride on legendary was cool, don't get me wrong, but the terrestrialization phenomenon was a little bit average. Picnicking was one of the highlights of this game. Picnicking is how you breed your Pokemon and also get shiny Pokemon once you breed enough. It was also a way to interact with your Pokemon and help them become more friendly. Picnicking hopefully will continue in future Pokemon games, and it was one of the features I really enjoyed about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If you're a fan of player customization or character customization, then Pokemon Scarlet and Violet definitely adds this for you. There's a lot of hairstyles, a lot of styles you can take on your character, and a lot of clothing you can buy throughout the game. This is also a unique experience to each player because everyone likes something different, and I felt this was one of the underrated mechanics of this game. In previous Pokemon games, you could also decorate and customize your character with clothing and other styles like hairstyles. But the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet definitely took this on and added a bunch of new hairstyles, a bunch of new character styles, and a bunch of ways you can change your character to enhance it to your own personal experience, which is something I quite enjoyed. My character was quite basic, but I know a lot of people spent a lot of time and a lot of money on their clothing and their styles. Now, we can't do a Pokemon review without talking about the negatives of each game. Now, one of the negatives that's been brushing every Pokemon fan the wrong way the whole time, including in the DLCs and the base game. The base game was released on the 18th of November 2022, and people are still experiencing bugs and performance issues. Now, every game has bugs, every game has performance issues, but the Pokemon community has been screaming out for patches and fixes that help these issues, and we've got nothing back from Game Freak and Pokemon at all. And a lot of people have stopped playing the game or even didn't even buy it because of these issues. Now, other issues in this game include the overworld of the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Paldea region being completely dead in some areas. Now, the DLCs did fix this a little bit. I felt the Kitakami region was a bit average, but the terrarium in the Indigo Disc DLC definitely felt alive. The Blueberry Academy area was much more well done compared to the other regions of the game, but this Pokemon game compared to Legends of Arceus just didn't feel as alive in the overworld, and that was a massive letdown in my opinion. I've covered a lot of Palworld on my channel recently, and if you want to look at a game where your overworld is done correctly, Palworld feels so alive and the environment actually feels unique. The whole area around your Palworld experience feels like it's textured perfectly and actually feels like a place where you want to be in. Some areas in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Paldea region just feel absolutely lacking, completely boring, and just dead, which is a massive letdown comparing these two companies profit-wise and how many people they have working on each game. You'd expect Pokemon Scarlet and Violet to be the better overall game, but I feel like the performance issues and the overworld just let this game down completely. Now, I do really enjoy Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I play through Pokemon Violet on this channel. There's a live playthrough if you do want to go and have a look at that. And I've played Pokemon Scarlet myself off screen, and I enjoyed playing both games. They both feel great to me, but there was just some of these issues that definitely let the games down. And like I said at the start of the video, these games had amazing potential, but were just let down by some of these small little issues. The question I've been asking myself this whole video so far is, if I had the opportunity to go back, knowing what I know now, would I buy these games again and play them the whole way through? And the answer would be yes. Overall, I feel like the pros outweigh the cons, and the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games were definitely enjoyable, minus the things that let the game down, which I've gone over in this video. I would give this game possibly a 6.5 out of 10, and Legends of Arceus maybe 7.5. If you want a near perfect Pokemon game, then Pokemon Soul Silver and Heart Gold definitely sit maybe around that 8.5 to 9 in my opinion. If you guys want me to go over any other topics about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in a review style like this, then definitely let me know in the comments down below, and let me know if you agree with what I've been saying in this video so far. I'd love to hear your opinions. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate all the support. I'm thinking about tackling Pokemon Scarlet or Pokemon Violet in a Nuzlocke format coming up very soon. I have a lot of Pokemon content coming back to the channel. I've been mixing it up a little bit over the holiday period and coming into January, just playing a variety of different games. So if you guys want to see any important Pokemon news videos or any other videos, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you leave a like on the video to show your support, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.